The PPM instrument is your best friend when it comes to a general overview of your audio channels and the activity on those channels, especially if you work with immersive audio such as Dolby Atmos. It's your best friend when it comes to prevent clipping and avoiding distortion in your audio signal, because it can show you if that happens. The RTW PPM instrument has a lot of settings and can be customized in many ways. Let's have a look about that. Before going into creating a preset, let me just real quick show you an overview I've made here. Here you can see a stereo meter, and I have lined out the different aspects of the PPM meter. On top you see left and right, and you can see that one of them flashes red. It's because there has been a true peak over. So that's the true peak over we show up here. And true peak over is of course very important. If it lights up, you need to stop your recording. You need to evaluate what happened to your audio, because this is not good. We go further down here on the left side. We have a scale marker, that's the red one. I've set that to -1 dB here in this example. You can set it to anything, but that marks a red area or a red line in the scale, and that can help you mark certain scale points if those are important to you. Then there's of course the scale itself. In this case, I have used the TP60. True peak scale. If we go to the other side here, you can see the white line here. That's the peak hold. The peak hold can be off. You can also set it to a number of seconds, and that means that, for instance, if it's set to 4 seconds, the peak hold will stay there for 4 seconds and then go away. The red area here is the headroom. Right now it's set to -9 dB. That means that it goes from -9 dB and up. Okay. The next area is the operation range, and the operation range in this example is set to -6 dB, and the operation range basically goes from the bottom of the headroom, so it's relative to the headroom, and then in this case 6 dB down. So it's an area of 6 dB below the headroom. And then the yellow part here is the normal area. The normal area cannot be set. It's simply just what's below the operation range. The last thing is the small indicator we have here. It's our correlator that will flash up red if there are some mistakes in correlation between left and right channels. Okay, so that's the different aspects of the PPM meter. Now let's go to the app and set up a new PPM meter here. I'm going to say PPM here. Gonna go to the metering application. I work in Atmos, so I go immersive, and I work in 714. I press 714. And here I select my scale. As you saw before in my example, it was TP60. I could also choose TP20. That means a 20 dB true peak scale, or one of the others. I will dig into the details of the other scales in another video later. I'll pick TP60 as in my example. And here, for the next step here, I need to select my loudness type. And you can ask, why do I need to select a loudness type now I want a PPM meter? It's because our PPM meter is able to show true peak PPM, but at the same time it can actually also show loudness on each channel. And that's why you can pick a loudness value here, loudness type here. I select calm, and I press finish. I very quickly go to routing here and route my channels, and I go to my metering view here. I drag in my PPM meter like this, And here you have this is my 12 Atmos channels. Since I selected loudness, I can start and stop the loudness. I don't want to do that. But I do want to have an over reset button. And also when I click the PPM, I can get another one, which is the peak hold reset. I'll just put it here. So now it's basically set up. It's ready for use. But before we use it, let's just dig into some of the parameters that's inside here. Now, there are some general parameters that goes for all PPM meters. And then there are some parameters that go specifically for the one I have selected here on my screen. If I go back and go into metering and press edit, I can go into PPM parameters. So that's the parameters that goes, you can say, across all meters in my application. Here I can set the scale. I have done that before. And here I can set the TP over sensitivity. And as you remember from the drawing before, the TP over sensitivity is the left and right, or the left, right, center, LFE, whatever the channel name that lights up red. Headroom, you also remember that from my drawing before. This is where I set the headroom. I go then back to my view, I press my PPM, and then I go into edit. And now I'm editing that specific PPM. I can choose orientation. It's vertical. I can click between vertical and horizontal here. Vertical means the lines, the bars are vertical. They can also be horizontal like this. You can see now it's basically goes in another direction. It goes horizontally. I don't want that, so I'll just put it vertical again. And then we have the split mode. I mentioned it before. It can show PPM, but it can also show loudness and PPM. And there's a couple of other options here. Loudness and PPM dual would basically, you might see it here on the screen here, that there are now 2 bars. You cannot see the bars, but there are 2 bars now for each channel. One with PPM, one with loudness. You can also go with an H-split, horizontal split. That means that it's split up between loudness and PPM, or PPM here and loudness here. So many ways to set up this this meter here. I'll just go back again to the edit here, and as I say, I just want PPM for the sake of explanation here. Then we have the settings for some of the other stuff that I mentioned. As a start, there's the correlator on off. There's peak hold, and peak hold can be set to 1 second, blah blah blah, up to 30 seconds, and manual. If I set it to manual, the peak hold will stay until I reset it. And that's why I need my peak hold reset button here. Because if I don't have that, the peak hold will simply just stay there forever, or before you reload your preset, whatever. As far as yeah. But I just want peak hold for 4 seconds here. Then there's the operation range. We have talked about that. And then there's the scale marker. We also talked about that as a start. So these are the ones that, these are the parameters that I can set. Beside that, there is the PPM Colors. And the PPM Colors are interesting, especially if you work with immersive audio or immersive channels, many channels. Because up here, I can set my share colors to off. Share colors means that the color scheme that I have here is shared between all the channels in my PPM. If I put this to off, I have the option of picking different colors for the background, normal, operation range, headroom, peak hold, blah, 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 for each channel. Now that can be useful if you have many channels. I have 714 here. So let's just say I want the 7 to be yellow, but I want the 1, which is the LFE channel, I want that to be, let's say, deep blue. And then for the top speakers, I want those to be light blue. Let's say that. Like this. So that means, oh, these are the part of the 7. Like this. 7, 1, 4. There we go. I go back here and I go back. Let's put a scale marker here at -1. Like that. Okay. So now I've set it up. In the editor, I cannot see those colors, but I can very quickly say back, save, and then I can recall my preset by just selecting and I say recall. And now you see that the scale is showing with the different colors and the settings that I did. So pretty cool. I'll go in here again into metering, edit the view, and just for demonstration purposes, I just want to say the age split with loudness on one side, PPM on the other side. Go back, save, and recall. So now I can recall my meter, and yep, you have a split between PPM and loudness in the same sort of instrument. So that's the PPM meter. Very useful for, of course, with the overview that we have now, I can see channel activity. I can immediately spot if there's an audio missing on one channel. I can immediately spot also if I have clipping distortion, if the signal goes beyond -1 to peak. So very useful for the daily work in the studio.